We're very pleased to have Kim Reain today for speaking on behalf of Hope Haven Therapeutic Riding Centre. I must say I've never received, as the chair of the Probus Speakers Committee, so many people saying, you know what, Hope Haven would be a really good group to hear from. So I'm very pleased, and over to Kim. Thanks.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. How many people here are already familiar with Hope Haven? Oh, we got a lot of people. That's awesome. Well, I'm going to figure out how to use this, so bear with me. There we go. That's me. Let me introduce myself. I am pretty new to Hope Haven as an employee. I started in February of this year, but I've been a parent taking my daughter to Hope Haven since 2019. So it's been an interesting transition. I've been a stay-at-home mom for most of the last 18 years, going back and forth and dabbling in sales and project management and things like that. So when the job came available last fall, I thought, I wonder if they'd hire me, and apparently it was okay. So they hired me and brought me on. So I've been doing fundraising and event planning for Hope Haven since February. We recently had a really fun party at the farm on September 16th. It was the Hope Haven Hoedown. So we're going to be doing the second annual next year. So if you guys see a poster in around the area for next year, it's September 21st. Save the date. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you haven't been to Hope Haven, I hope you will come visit soon. There's something pretty special about the property itself. It feels magical to me. There's a laneway that you enter as you're coming onto the farm, and we call it Shady Lane. I don't know whether that's the actual name or not, but it's a tree-lined lane. And as I'm driving up now as a staff member, and when I used to drive up just with my daughter, it just kind of put me in a place of, yeah, I belong here. We all belong here. So it's a pretty magical place, and that's just the entryway, for Hope Haven. What we do, for those of you who don't know, is we promote well-being. So we promote the well-being of individuals from a cognitive level, a physical level, an emotional level, and we only work with individuals who have diverse needs and disabilities. So that's a pretty broad statement. But you'll see as we get through the presentation what I mean by that. But it really is people who are exceptional in a way that, there aren't a lot of services for them in the mainstream world. The world is really built for typical people, whether it be, walking around, driving, transportation, traveling, therapies, and especially up here in a rural setting, there's just not a lot available. So as you learn a little bit more about Hope Haven, you'll get to understand why we do what we do and how absolutely magical it is. So I'm not sure whether you saw the article that went out about this presentation, but one of the things that I said in it was, all we have is hope. And I've always felt that way, being the mom of a child with special needs. If I don't have hope, I don't have anything to keep driving me. So hope that my child might get stronger, hope that my child might learn, hope that I'll be able to stand another day like this. There's just so many reasons where hope is so powerful. So it was really interesting to me that the place that I found to work at and the place that I found that is absolutely perfect for my daughter is Hope Haven. There's also an acronym, HOPE, that stands for Hold On Pain Ends. So whether it be a challenge that you're going through, I just love the name Hope. So when I think about what we're doing for other people's children and what we're doing as staff and volunteers, hope is an absolutely perfect word for where we get to do all of this. So hope is all we have. I wanted to give you a few quick facts. Right now we've got about 300 individuals that are riding with us through our adaptive riding and horsemanship programs, and I'll explain what those are later. We have 180 students that came to Hope Haven through our Saddle Up for Success School Day program this year. They came to us from 14 different schools. They're all children with exceptionalities. I say exceptionalities, but that means disabilities and diverse needs. So they all come to us, and they come on a weekly basis for 8 weeks through that program. All summer long, we were full. We had over 100 kids with Camp Hope. So each week there'd be about 12 kids that would come every single day. We've got 25 athletes that compete on our Special Olympics team. 13 horses. We had 11 up till a couple of weeks ago, but we've just added 2 new horses and we're super excited about it. And we're also bringing on 2 mini horses that will be participating in our school program. So it'll be a little bit easier for the kids to groom them. I think they're about this high. We've got over 50 volunteers. Compare that to the number of staff we have. There's only 12 staff members and most of them are part-time. So we are heavily reliant on our volunteers and we adore them. And we work with them to find a role for them within our organization that is as much for them as it is for us. We want to make sure that our volunteers are getting something out of being at Hope Haven, which is not hard to do. But so as I mentioned, we've got 2 indoor arenas. One's just being built right now. We got a donation from our generous founder, and it is just about complete. We've got an outdoor arena too, a sensory walking trail, and Community Foundation, Grey Bruce, actually sponsored our walking trail, and it's a sensory trail, so it's got all sorts of sights and sounds and textures that our riders get to experience either on horseback or while walking beside the horse. We are a registered charity, and I'm not here to fundraise, so don't you worry. And we're 100% reliant on donations, but as you'll see as we go through the presentation, a lot of what we do, most of what we do requires the horses, and the horses are the most expensive thing that we have. So if any of you are horse people, you'll understand that completely. Are there many horse people here? Yeah. Okay, so who are Hope Haven's participants? So mostly children, but we don't age out. So within the special needs community, if a child is going to school, they get to stay in public school until 21. After 21, there really isn't much, especially up here. We've got events for life, but it's definitely got a cap. So to have something like Hope Haven to be able to continue for the kids that start with us maybe at 16 or 15 and to be able to continue. So we've got some riders that are coming close to 30 and they're still active participants in our programs, and they are lifers. They love it. We love them. We really help people with all different kinds of abilities. So everything from Down syndrome, autism, PTSD, recovering from illnesses that they may have anxiety and depression from, spinal bifida. And some of the disabilities are not all that visible, so you might wonder, but a lot of it is, a lot of mental illness as well. So that's definitely grown a ton through the last few years. Our children and our teenagers have really, really been impacted by the isolation of COVID, and we've seen mental health issues go through the roof, and we're able to support them as well. So what makes a good therapy horse? This is Arwen, and he is a very good therapy horse. So when we're doing our school day program and when we're doing our camps, every day has a bit of a theme. Sometimes it's nutrition, where the kids might be making snacks for the horse. Sometimes it's creativity, as you see here, where we actually paint the horse. I can't believe how patient they are. They stand there patiently waiting as the kids just make them look all beautiful. But beyond that, they have to be social. They have to be able to connect with the people that are riding them as well as the volunteers and the staff. They have to be consistent, calm, and patient. So sometimes there are going to be horses that actually get spooked. They're usually spooked for specific things. It has to be pretty consistent so that we can actually ride it. I actually spooked the horse that my daughter was on a few weeks ago, Abe, who's one of our Norwegian fjords. And I was just trying to be helpful, but they had gone into the indoor arena and the big door was open, and I just thought I'd be helpful and take the 2x4 and drop it so that Abe didn't try to walk out again, and I didn't let anybody know that that was happening because I'm not a horse person and I'm just learning. Anyway, my daughter got thrown off, and she's okay because she was wearing a harness. So Robin, who's our physiotherapist, grabbed her and just plunked her on the ground, and my daughter stood there like, okay, I'm good. So, anyway, they did say to me, yeah, he spooks when you do that. So it was predictable. The temperament has to be able to handle yelling, boisterousness. A lot of our kids, they do communicate by yelling and being quite loud because that's how they speak. Many of the kids that come to Hope Haven are nonverbal. Some of them get really excited and move quite a bit, so throw off balance. So our horses definitely need to be pretty predictable and be able to handle that. The programs that we have adaptive riding. So basically, like I said, it's not just going for a pony ride. We are actually looking to accomplish progress, set goals for our kids. Adaptive riding is basically horseback riding for people who can't ride horses typically. Horsemanship is another program. Some of our riders either won't or can't mount a horse. So we meet them where they are, and we work with them on grooming. We work with them on educating them on how to care for the horse, how to tack a horse, how to lead a horse. All of those things have benefits. Hippotherapy, we have an on-site physiotherapist. Her name is Robin. She's fantastic, and she actually puts individuals on the horses and does physiotherapy with them. And if you can imagine the movement as you're trying to sit on a horse. As the horse is moving, your core has to be really engaged in order for you to actually, first of all, be comfortable, and second of all, not be too sore afterwards. But as the horse is moving, your whole core is moving. But on top of that, an hour on a horse is the equivalent of 7,000 steps. So it's a pretty crazy thing for somebody who may be in a wheelchair or doesn't have the stamina to actually walk 7,000 steps on their own. The movement of the horse in your pelvis is the same as taking steps. So it's pretty incredible from everything up. Our Saddle Up for Success program is our school day program. Camp Hope is what we run in the summertime. Special Olympics, it's something that we've had in play since 2020. And then we have a recreational therapist that's on site, and she runs our school program and our camps, and she also does individual sessions. So horse therapy has become a pretty big thing in the mainstream world as well. There's many psychotherapists that are working with horses. It's a pretty amazing thing, and I didn't realize this until I actually hopped on the horse for my first lesson. And I rushed from dropping my kids off at school to get to Hope Haven, and then I got on the horse and it wouldn't do anything that I wanted it to do because my mind was shopping and doing laundry and doing all of this stuff. So it wasn't until I actually centered myself and the horse and I connected and I got present that the horse went left when I wanted him to go left and straight. So there's a real presentness that is required. I think that for me, as a 50-year-old adult, to be able to figure that out is one thing. For a child that's plunked on a horse for the first time because their parents think that it's good for them is another thing. And still, the connection is there. They can all figure it out no matter what your ability is. So these are some of the benefits of adaptive riding. Better balance, mobility, body awareness, circulation, strength. The one thing that we have to remember too is that these individuals who come to Hope Haven, many of them have muscle tone issues, they might have seizures, they might have behavioral issues. Whatever their challenge is, exercise is good for all of that. The more you move, the better you digest, the better you think, the better you sleep. So there's so many different benefits to horseback riding. It's a sport that most individuals with diverse needs and disabilities wouldn't be able to do if there weren't places like Hope Haven. On top of it, there's interaction with volunteers, their peers through, if they're part of the Special Olympics program or camp or the school programs. It helps with self-esteem, team building, social skill interaction, and building confidence. So I was talking to somebody earlier about our school program, and there's some kids that they don't want to groom, others really want to groom. Some want to lead, others don't. We meet them where they are, and we help them build the confidence to take that next step. So whether it's grooming, whether it's feeding, because feeding can be pretty scary as well, we just work with them to help them build their self-confidence and their interaction skills. And oftentimes we'll see one child working with another child to actually support them. So it's a really great environment to do that in. So this is Brogan. He's been riding with us for quite a long time. He has been doing adaptive riding, but he's also he's one of the kids that have aged out of most other programs. He's now doing the adult program on Fridays. So So we have this beautiful group of men that come on Fridays and hang out with our recreational therapist, and they do all of the horse feeds, they do a little bit of learning, they do a heck of a lot of physical activity. They do watch some Disney movies too, which I think is really amazing. They just love a good Disney flick. And then Brogan's also on our Special Olympics team. So as far as the adaptive riding goes, it can actually be somebody like Brogan who was born different, or it can be for somebody who maybe has gone through an experience that has put them in a state of disability. Alexandra Richardson, I had the pleasure of meeting her for the first time last week, and it was a really interesting experience for me because I'd only experienced Hope Haven from the perspective of my daughter. So it's also interesting because I've been at Hope Haven since February, but it was a really eye-opening experience because I've always been able to understand that we deal with individuals who have diverse needs and disabilities, but Alexandra was a pretty typical kid until she was diagnosed with stage 4 leukemia. So she was in her first year of university at Lakehead University. She was an accomplished ballerina. She'd done ballet her entire life down when she lived in Toronto. And in her first year of university, she started complaining of pain. By the time that she got back to see mom, and her mom knew that something was absolutely wrong, she was minutes away from it being too late. So she went through a long haul of chemotherapy. Because she was 18, she was treated as an adult. So when you're 18, you're still very much a child, and chemotherapy can do awful things to your body. So the cancer did a number on her, the chemotherapy did a number on her, and she was left with a brain injury. So fast forward to Hope Haven. Her doctor said, you got to get out of Toronto. It was in the middle of COVID. Where was she going to go? What was she going to do? And ironically, her grandparents lived in Markdale. And when they got up to Markdale, her grandma said, what about Hope Haven? And they said, what the heck is Hope Haven? So anyway, at that time, Alexandra had gone through so much that she had PTSD, she had anxiety, she could barely sit up straight, she had no strength, she'd lost all of her muscle tone, and she found her way over to Hope Haven with her mom. For the first probably 6 months, she didn't mount the horse. It was just, she'd never been exposed to horses before, so it was a pretty big learning experience. So she worked on grooming, she worked on learning the parts of the horse, she worked on tack, and then she finally mounted the horse, I believe, in early 2021, and could last maybe 5 minutes. The following day was just absolute torture, painful, because of the strength that it took to actually be on the horse. So you'll see over here on the right, that was just a couple of weeks ago. She is now a dressage rider, and she's competing, and she came in 3rd in her last competition. So Alexandra still suffers from so much, from the residual of her cancer. She's got some vision impairments. She's definitely got some endurance impairments, but she works with our recreational therapist to help her with her anxiety, to help her with her PTSD. She does adaptive horsemanship to make sure that she continues to grow and strengthen. And then she also does the adaptive riding. So it's a pretty amazing story to hear that it doesn't really matter whether you were born with autism, cerebral palsy, or whether something happened to you in life. Hope Haven has a place for somebody who needs help, and the horses are just amazing for strength building. Now this is my baby. So this is Tatum. Tatum was born with a very rare genetic disorder. There's only 500 of her in the world. It was a spontaneous mutation, so she's a bit of a unicorn in her own right. She also has level 3 autism, which is pretty severe autism, and she doesn't speak. So my journey with hope really started with Tatum, and I found very early on when we were going to the doctor's appointments that doctors have a hard time giving hope. It's always, there's a 25% chance that she'll have seizures, as opposed to there's a 75% chance that she won't. So very early on, I decided that I wouldn't let any hope stealers in my life. So Tatum was the beginning of hope. So we were told that she would never sit independently, that she would never walk independently. And so we worked really hard in her early days, and we just didn't see the progress that we had been hoping for. And a lot of the times we were taking her to appointments that were in really clinical settings. So as soon as we were pulling into the parking lot, she was complaining. As soon as we walked into the building, she just wanted to leave again. So when we moved up to Craigleith from Toronto in 2019, I left a lot behind. You know, there's a lot of services in Toronto, and I thought, well, surely there's got to be something up here. And lo and behold, there was not much, but there was hope. So we found Hope Haven. I remember the first day when I drove up 4A, which is the side road that Hope Haven is on, she started squealing and giggling. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool for a change. And then we drove up Shady Lane, and she was waving her arms in the air. And she actually had joy. She doesn't have any words, but you can definitely tell that she has joy. The first day we walked into the arena, she was being pushed in a wheelchair, and then she got pushed in her wheelchair up to the top of the ramp, and that was 2019. I think it was probably September. Less than 18 months later, she stood up on my husband's 50th birthday and started walking because she wanted a balloon. So there is nothing like it. There's just nothing like it. When any of us do something that brings us joy, it's easier. When any of us do something that's in a place that is beautiful, it's easier and you want to stay there longer. It's just, there's nothing like it. We had an incredible team working with Tatum, and it's the same team that the other 300 people get to work with. We've got an amazing physiotherapist. It's pretty great. So now she's at the point where she's able to. Yesterday she walked into the arena, walked straight to the bathroom for her little bio break before she hopped on Abe, then walked into the arena, walked up the ramp, and now Robin, our physiotherapist, actually has her walking on sand, which is not an easy thing to do. So anyway, this is my babe, and I'm pretty proud of her, and she's the reason why I'm at Hope Haven. So hippotherapy actually is physiotherapy on a horse. It's pretty wild to see what they do. There's not, a ton of lower leg planting that they do. It's all from the hips up. So they'll have her walking around the arena doing a dressage circuit with the stopping and the starting and the side to side. She rides side saddle, as you'll see in this photo up here with two of our volunteers, Joanne and Val. And she's not doing the grooming, and she's not putting her tack on herself, so they're definitely meeting her where she is, but she's now at the point where she pretends to fall off the horse because she thinks it's funny. So there's a really good rapport between her and her volunteers and her and the staff. It's pretty amazing. So we don't have as many people who do physiotherapy on a horse as we do the recreational therapy, but if you do know of anybody who's looking for that service, it is something that benefits are eligible for, which is a really great thing because it's pretty expensive to fund your way through therapies, and so much of ours are covered, but physiotherapy is not. So we definitely look forward to getting those receipts to put them through the old Manulife. So it's good. All right. Team Pegasus. So I want to talk to you about our Special Olympics program. So Special Olympics is an Olympic program for individuals who have cognitive disabilities first and foremost, and physical abilities are definitely challenged for many of our athletes as well. So we have competitions on a quarterly basis, and it's a pretty amazing thing because so many of the kids that are on our Special Olympics team, they don't have an opportunity to join sports teams. So this is a team that they're on. Most of our competitions are done by video, so it's just not really logistically possible for us to get everybody together for a competition on a day, but quarterly we get together for social events. We celebrate the wins, we talk about the wins, we talk about what we want to grow. I know, Joe, you were at the last one, I think. Where are you, Joe? Yeah, yeah. It's a really great opportunity for the volunteers to get to know one another, and the staff are there as well. So in the spring of 2020, we were named Ontario's first Special Olympics equestrian team, and now we are working with other adaptive riding places throughout Ontario and all across Canada to help them get certified as well, so that more athletes with disabilities and cognitive challenges can be part of the Special Olympics team. Okay, our Saddle Up for Success program is the other program that I was going to talk about, and it's a research-based school and day camp program, and it's for high school and elementary kids who have emotional, cognitive, and physical challenges. So public school system is not funding a heck of a lot of trips for kids in general, so it's an amazing thing to be able to bring the county classrooms and the developmental delay classrooms up to Hope Haven for a different way of learning. A lot of it is spent outside, but we do spend some time in the barns as well, just as learning experiences, helping the kids with sensory issues, helping them foster community and social skills. It's a lot of fun for them. So it's interesting because some of the kids don't like change. Some of them don't want to come, and then they don't want to leave by the end of the 8 weeks. So it's a pretty great thing. So like I mentioned, we have over 50 volunteers. This is Bonnie. She's one of our volunteers, and we had some of our volunteers write testimonials a couple of weeks ago, but the consensus is that it's just a magical place. So it says it's a magical place where all involved receive back more than they ever can give. You combine a beautiful farm with wonderful horses and the warmest people, and you have the perfect volunteering opportunity. One other volunteer said, Hope Haven's my happy place. And I hear that a lot. I say that. Volunteering provides an opportunity to combine my education background with a love of horses and help riders achieve their goals. So if any of you are looking for volunteer opportunities, we have plenty. Some people aren't comfortable working with the horses. Some aren't comfortable working with kids. We can also meet you where you are and find something that might suit you. We have an incredible training program. Michelle, who's our volunteer coordinator, she's put together a program that actually empowers our volunteers so that we actually can count on our volunteers to act like they're part of our team. So, they bring the horses in from the paddock, they get them groomed. The kids are left to us. We definitely do all of the programming, but the volunteers are there to show the way, and they're definitely well loved. This is Colton. For any of you who have ever volunteered at Hope Haven, perhaps you've met Colton. When he started at Hope Haven, he was terrified of horses. So he was one of the individuals that would not actually get on a horse. He's now at the point, as you can see, that he's actually able to sit independently and direct his horse himself. So his mom said, thank you to everyone at Hope Haven. Without each of you giving your time to this wonderful experience would not be possible. You have taken a young man who was afraid of horses and turned him into someone who cannot get enough time to be on his beloved horses. It's funny, Colton shares the same horse that my daughter rides, and that's Abe. And when we were at the last Special Olympics, there was no way that he was going to be sharing Abe with Tatum. So anyway, it's pretty funny. So, Hope Haven is a place absolutely for individuals that have disabilities and diverse needs, but it's also a place for parents. It's a place in this world where everything's best suited for those who are normal or typical. It's a place where we can go with our beautifully different families and our beautifully different children and feel accepted. You can have a conversation, sometimes while the other person's child is having a seizure next to you, and it's just kind of normal. Like, it's just a normal place to be. To know that, when your child doesn't respond when somebody says hello, it's not the only child that's not responding, and it's understood that they just don't use words to communicate. There's other kids too that, they look pretty typical, and I think that's a really difficult thing in the regular world, to be neurodivergent or to have a different brain and to be in a normal world and to look normal. Imagine how misunderstood you must feel all of the time. So Hope Haven is a place where everyone is accepted. The volunteers, the staff, the kids, the donors, and as individuals who might be interested in learning a little bit more about Hope Haven, you belong there too, so feel free to give me a call. I would be happy to show you around the farm, introduce you to all of our beautiful horses. We've got 142 acres. We've got, probably about 15 paddocks, and the horses are just incredible creatures. So if it's even just that you want to come and check us out, because you'd like to have a day as great as we have every day we're on the farm, absolutely feel free to give me a call and I will show you around. So that is it.